Hey there, future millionaires! Welcome back to the channel. It's so good to see you again. I'm genuinely excited you're here today, no matter what corner of this amazing world you're tuning in from. Now, I've got something really interesting to share with you about XRP that's got me pretty fired up. So check this out. I came across this fascinating insight from Michael Branch that I just had to talk about with you. You know that popular market researcher we've mentioned before, Ripple Bullwinkle? Well, they just dropped this incredible observation on X that basically blew my mind. They're calling Evernorth the MicroStrategy for XRP. But here's the kicker. They say it's been built from the ground up specifically with XRP in mind. And here's why this matters so much. This could completely change the game for how big institutional investors get their hands on XRP exposure. We're talking about a potential fundamental shift in the entire landscape.
I would not even compare Evernorth to strategy.
But here's what I absolutely love about Evernorth. And this is where it gets really exciting. They're actively buying up XRP right off the open market and just stacking it away. Think about what that means. They're literally taking XRP out of circulation. Now, here's where their strategy gets brilliant. They're not just sitting on that XRP like it's some dusty treasure chest. No way. They're putting that XRP to work, making it earn yield for them. It's like having your money work overtime while you sleep. And then, this is the genius part. They take all that yield they've earned and what do? They go right back and buy even more XRP with it. It's this beautiful cycle that just keeps building and building. Can you see where this is heading? Over time, this creates real scarcity in the market. Less XRP available, more demand building up. It's economics 101, but applied in such a smart way. Honestly, I think Evernorth's approach is going to be way more solid and sustainable than what we've seen with other strategies out there.
But hey, that's just my take on it. I'd love to hear what you think in the comments below. Now, speaking of big moves in the Ripple ecosystem, there's some exciting news on the academic front that's worth talking about. Ripple is seriously expanding their reach in the education world, and it's pretty impressive what they're doing. They just announced a brand new advisory council, and they're also renewing their partnerships with USF and UBRRI. Plus, there's some interesting developments happening with RLUSD that are tied into all of this. This isn't just random news. When companies start building these kinds of academic partnerships and advisory councils, it usually signals they're planning something big for the long term.
So once again, Ripple is investing in education at colleges. So they're teaming up with the University of San Francisco, and honestly, what they're doing there is absolutely brilliant. They're literally educating the next generation of blockchain builders, and this is something I'm really passionate about. You know what? I've always said this, and I'll say it again. If blockchain wasn't the real deal, if it wasn't actually the future, do you think universities would be teaching this stuff in their classrooms? Absolutely not. And here's what's even more exciting. They're not just teaching generic blockchain theory. We're talking about XRP and XLM being discussed at places like Harvard. I mean, come on, that's Harvard we're talking about. But here's why I absolutely love what Ripple is doing with this education push. Think about it. When you educate people about blockchain, crypto, and real innovation, you're literally planting seeds for the future. These students are going to graduate, walk across that stage, and then what? They're going to go out into the world and build the next wave of incredible blockchain projects. It's like Ripple is creating their own pipeline of future innovators. That's just smart business right there.
All right, this next bit comes from Mr. Man, and wow, there's a lot to unpack here, so stick with me because this is getting really interesting. So here's what's happening. USBC has partnered up with Uphold, and Uphold is basically acting as the liquidity provider for Ripple's RLUSD. That's their tokenized US dollar that's being held at Vast Bank. Now here's where it gets cool. The CEO of Vast Bank is Greg Kidd, who used to be the chief risk officer. But here's the kicker. They now have to comply with something called RGE. And guess what that does? It enables XRP. See how all these pieces are starting to connect? But wait, there's more. Uphold's main job in all of this is to provide the crypto liquidity that Ripple absolutely needs to make their cross-border payments work smoothly. It's like being the fuel station for Ripple's payment highway. What I really love about this whole setup is how they're doing everything by the book. We're talking about a regulated approach across major markets, the UK, Europe, and the United States. That's huge for credibility and stability. And here's the cherry on top. When Ripple launched their stablecoin RLUSD globally back in December 2024, guess who they picked as their exchange partner? Yep, Uphold. Now, you might be wondering why I'm spending so much time on this. And here's the thing that's got me really excited about all of this. What we're seeing here is Uphold isn't just sitting still. They're actively building and expanding their operations. And that's fantastic news because every time Uphold grows stronger, guess what happens? It directly strengthens RLUSD over time. But here's the beautiful part. It's not just RLUSD that benefits. XRP gets stronger too. It's like this incredible ripple effect, no pun intended, where one success feeds into another. This is exactly the kind of ecosystem growth that we love to see. When key partners like Uphold are thriving and expanding, it creates this positive momentum that lifts everything up together. Okay, so here's something really interesting that happened just last week. And this is one of those classic market signals that gets me pumped up. Gold shops were absolutely packed with regular, everyday people literally lining up around the block to buy gold and silver. Now, if you've been in this game for a while, you know exactly what this means, right? When the average person is rushing into gold like that, it usually signals that precious metals are about to take a serious dive. And you know what that means for us? This could finally be crypto's moment to shine with that explosive parabolic rise we've all been patiently waiting for. Here's how this usually plays out, and trust me, we've seen this movie before. Once crypto really starts breaking out and making headlines, those same people who were lined up for gold, they're going to be racing to get into crypto instead. And when that FOMO kicks in, oh man, it's going to be absolutely incredible to watch. We're talking about waves of new investors flooding into this space over the next few weeks. But here's your advantage right now. Anyone who's jumping in today is getting way better prices than the folks who'll be buying XRP when it's in full price discovery mode, smashing through all-time high after all-time high. You know that old saying, buy when there's blood in the streets? That's exactly what smart money does. That's how you get those life-changing returns on your investment. Mark my words, people are going to be lining up for crypto the exact same way they were lining up for gold last week. Republican senator warns time is running out to pass U.S. crypto bill. So what he's saying is they have to get it done by January or February. But here's the thing, if that doesn't happen, we're looking at this whole thing getting pushed way past the midterms. And honestly, that's frustrating because we desperately need to get crypto regulations sorted out as soon as possible. But right now, it feels like we're stuck in this endless waiting game. I mean, seriously, they keep moving the goalposts on us. First it was, oh, we'll have crypto legislation by Thanksgiving. Then it became, well, maybe by Christmas. And you know what's going to happen next, right? Pretty soon it's going to be January, and then they'll just kick the can down the road again. Oh, let's aim for February now. It's like watching the same movie over and over again. Look, we need to get this done now. I can't stress this enough. The sooner we get clear regulations here in the United States, the sooner real innovation can finally move forward. And that's when we'll see that massive tokenization boom we've all been waiting for. Plus, and this is huge, we need the government to actually reopen and function properly so we can finally get those XRP spot ETFs approved. I mean, come on, how long are we going to wait for something that should have happened months ago? The regulatory clarity is literally the key that unlocks everything else we've been talking about. So I came across this article about how to trade XRP profitably this week amid a 40% drop in open interest. And you know what? I'm going to give you the simplest, most honest answer you'll ever hear. You don't trade XRP, period. Here's what you actually do. And this might sound boring, but stick with me because it works. You buy XRP on the exchange, you transfer it straight into your wallet, and then you sit back, relax, and wait for the magic to happen. Now, I keep seeing all these people in the comments and forums complaining about the same thing. Oh no, I lost more XRP. And you know what happened? They tried to get cute with it. They sold at one price thinking they're going to buy back in cheaper. Look, does that sometimes work out? Sure, occasionally you might get lucky. But here's the brutal truth. Most of the time, it doesn't work out, and you end up with less XRP than you started with. And here's something a lot of people don't even think about. Every time you do that buying and selling dance, you're creating short-term capital gains instead of long-term capital gains. The exchange is tracking all that activity, and come tax time, ouch! So here's my question for you. Why not just buy it, lock it away somewhere safe, and wait for it to happen? Sometimes the simplest strategy is the best strategy. And get this. Here's something that's going to blow your mind. After this acquisition goes through, American Airlines is officially going to become a Ripple customer. That's right, one of the biggest airlines in the world is going to be using XRP and the XRP ledger behind the scenes for their operations. Think about that for a second. We're talking about American Airlines, a massive company that handles millions of passengers every year, and they're choosing to integrate XRP into their system. This is exactly the kind of real-world adoption we've been waiting to see. So, check this out. Treasury just posted something really exciting that caught my attention. They're at AFP Day 1, and apparently things are going amazing for them. They're telling people to swing by booth 614 to meet their team, get a demo of their G-Smart AI, and here's the fun part. You can enter to win a $1,000 American Airlines gift card. But here's what really got me excited. They're specifically highlighting why companies like American Airlines chose Treasury as their go-to treasury platform. They're calling it the world's most adaptable treasury platform, which sounds pretty impressive. Now here's the big picture that's got me pumped up. Treasury is essentially a Ripple partner now. And you know what this means, right? This is just the beginning. We're going to start seeing so many other Ripple partnerships emerge from this connection. I'm telling you, announcements like this are going to become a regular thing. It's like watching dominoes fall. Once one major company like American Airlines gets on board, others start paying attention and wanting in on the action too. This is exactly the kind of momentum we love to see building in the ecosystem. All right, let's talk about something that might not be the most exciting topic. But trust me, it's absolutely crucial for anyone in the crypto space. How do you actually stay compliant with crypto tax laws? And more importantly, what happens if you don't handle your crypto taxes properly? Because let me tell you, the consequences are not something you want to mess around with. I know. Taxes aren't exactly fun to think about when you're focused on gains and moonshots. But staying on the right side of the tax man is going to save you a lot of headaches down the road. And once again, this topic is making headlines everywhere. So let's break down the most common reasons why people end up skipping their crypto taxes, because honestly, some of these might surprise you. First up, and this is a big one, tons of people assume that crypto is completely anonymous and untraceable. Plot twist, it's not. Everything you do is actually traced and recorded. I mean, we're talking about blockchain technology here. It's literally designed to be a permanent, public ledger. Then you've got people trying to be sneaky by using private platforms. Some folks think they can outsmart the system by using those non-KYC exchanges or keeping everything in self-custody wallets, hoping to hide their transactions from the authorities. But here's the thing. They're already starting to crack down on this stuff too. The net is getting tighter every day. And here's probably the most common mistake. Pure confusion about what actually counts as a taxable event. So many people have no idea that everyday actions like trading one crypto for another, selling for cash, or even spending your crypto on a coffee are all taxable events. It's just like selling stocks or any other traditional asset. The lack of knowledge here is honestly kind of scary when you think about the potential consequences. Now let's talk about compliance complexity, and boy is this a doozy. Most people are completely lost when it comes to understanding crypto tax rules, and honestly, I totally get it because they are incredibly complicated. Here's the thing. Unless you've gotten one of those lovely letters from the IRS like I did in the past, you probably haven't even started thinking about what counts as a taxable event in crypto. Trust me, that letter was a real wake-up call. But let me break down some of the big ones for you because this stuff is important to know. Say you want to sell your XRP to buy some XLM instead. Boom, that's a taxable event right there. Or maybe you sell your XLM to buy more XRP. Yep, taxable event again. Remember that trading strategy we talked about earlier? You know, selling XRP at one price hoping to buy back in cheaper? Well, guess what? That's also a taxable event every single time you do it. And here's one that catches a lot of people off guard. When you're buying something and you convert your crypto to regular dollars to pay at the point of sale system, you guessed it, taxable event. It's like the IRS has decided that almost everything you do with crypto is going to generate some kind of tax obligation. Pretty wild when you think about it. But this is the form that everybody's gonna get if they hold crypto on an exchange this time around. And here's the reality check that might surprise some of you. Coinbase, Kraken, Uphold, and all these major exchanges, they're keeping meticulous records of everything you do, even if you're not paying attention to it yourself. Let me paint you a picture here. Say you've got some crypto sitting on Uphold, just using this as an example, and you decide to sell some of your XRP to buy something else with those proceeds. Well, that exchange is documenting that entire transaction, and here's what's probably going to happen next.
You're most likely going to get a 1099 form from that exchange at tax time, or even worse, you might get one of those not-so-fun letters directly from the IRS asking some pointed questions. Here's the bottom line that everyone needs to understand. There's absolutely no way to avoid paying taxes on your crypto activities anymore. The government is seriously cracking down on all of this stuff, and with crypto regulation right around the corner, things are only going to get more strict. In fact, I'm betting that most of these sketchy, under-the-radar exchanges are going to disappear very soon. The Wild West days of crypto are coming to an end, and honestly, that's probably a good thing for the industry overall.
All right, here's something that caught my attention. There's an alert out saying that Bitcoin demand from digital asset traders has actually dropped to year-to-date lows. And get this, it's staying weak even when we see price rebounds. That's pretty telling, right? But you know what I think is really going on here? People are just completely exhausted in this space. And it's not just with Bitcoin either. We're seeing this fatigue across all cryptocurrencies. Think about it. How many times have we gotten excited thinking, this is it, the market's about to take off, only to watch something come along and knock it right back down? It's happened multiple times just this cycle alone. No wonder people are feeling worn out. But here's the thing, and I really believe this. Once Bitcoin actually starts breaking out for real, that exhaustion is going to flip into pure FOMO faster than you can blink. People will be jumping back in left and right, and the exact same thing is going to happen with XRP. Here's something I've noticed that's kind of funny. When it's a red day for XRP, people tunnel vision on that chart and think, oh no, XRP is tanking. They don't even bother checking what Bitcoin is doing. But if you actually pull up the Bitcoin chart, guess what you'll see? Bitcoin is having a red day too. We're still following Bitcoin's lead until that magical decoupling finally happens. It's like we're all dancing to the same beat, whether we realize it or not. Okay, here's some breaking news that's got everyone talking. Trump just announced that he might name a new Fed chair by the end of the year to replace Jerome Powell. Now, I believe Powell's term is actually up in May 2026, so this could be happening sooner than we thought. And you know what happened immediately after this news dropped? People started going crazy with speculation. Everyone's wondering if Trump's going to pick someone who's pro-crypto, or maybe even someone who's specifically pro-Ripple or pro-XRP. Now, I can't predict the future, but I'm betting whoever he chooses is definitely going to be crypto-friendly. That just makes sense given everything we've been seeing. But here's what I'm really focused on right now. We desperately need some rate cuts. That's absolutely crucial for getting this market fired up again. If we get those rate cuts, man, this market is going to take off like a rocket. But if rates stay unchanged, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. We're probably looking at more sideways action or even a dip in crypto prices. But honestly, I think everyone's expecting a rate cut at this point, and I'm feeling pretty optimistic about it. Here's what I really want you to remember, though. We are literally on the verge of XRP going parabolic. One way or another, it's going to happen. I'm absolutely convinced of that. And when that breakout finally begins, and trust me, it will, there are going to be so many people kicking themselves, wishing they could travel back in time and buy XRP at today's prices. Don't let that be you. Don't have any regrets when the breakout starts. Until that magic moment happens, just stay patient, stay positive, and let's build wealth together. All right, everyone, that's a wrap on today's video. I want to thank each and every one of you for watching and being part of this incredible community. I genuinely appreciate all of you, and I'll catch you in the next one. Have an amazing night, future millionaires.